Hello, I'm Harry Riley. Welcome to Harry's 10-Minute Tales. This is called Visit to Planet Helmeria, a short story by Harry Riley. This story is fiction, and resemblance to anyone living or dead is coincidental. It's the year of our Lord, 3012, and Captain Marcus Benedict has just recorded the final chapter of an incredible 4.5-year journey to and from the planet Helmeria. Below is an abbreviated account of their voyage as written in his own hand. Tomorrow is my birthday, and tomorrow I die. I am perfectly fit in body and mind. I have committed no crime known to man, and yet tomorrow my time is up. I am the last of my crew to die. Since I was a young boy, I had dreamed of one day becoming an astronaut and travelling to the far reaches of the universe to find new life on distant planets. I'd eagerly devoured old archive films of man's exploration to the moon and our first landings on Mars, and I knew without any doubt that would be my life. When the opportunity came to trial for the biggest and most dangerous mission into outer space, I immediately threw my hat in the ring and was finally accepted as captain. We had travelled for just over 2 years, frantically dodging space debris and feeling totally lost, when we noticed a distinct change in the environment. Before we knew what was happening, an intensely painful bright light filled the cabin, and we had to close our eyes to prevent blindness. This was followed by a deafening roar that knocked us all unconscious. We awoke to the sound of a metallic voice speaking to us in our own language. It insisted we had violated Helmeria's sovereign airspace, and they had taken control of our ship. They knew exactly who we were and where we had come from, and that our intentions were peaceful. We would be guided into an alien docking station to await official examination. This was staggering news, and we couldn't wait to see what our new friends would look like. In the event, the first beings we encountered seemed to have evolved very much like ourselves. Their physical size and structure was similar to us. They each had 2 arms and 2 legs. The men appeared to be all of the same size and physique, and all were identical clones. They had no facial hair, and their heads were somewhat larger than ours. Their complexion was of a dark hue, possibly owing to their climate being exceptionally hot. We were fitted with air-controlled suits to cool us down, and a woman introduced herself as the chief spokesperson on our arrival. The females were very exotic-looking specimens of much smaller stature, and all of us of a uniform shape and size. As captain, I took the lead and inquired how they could communicate with us in our own language, and how they knew so much about us. She introduced herself as Helmeria, the name of their planet, and said they had abolished personal names in order to simplify their state database. Through an agreeably attractive mouth, she explained they had picked up our spaceship from 3,000 miles away. The intense light and deafening sound we encountered had been their laser weapon that had penetrated our cabin and had performed a brain scan on each of us. This is what had ultimately rendered us all unconscious. They had digitally scanned our brain patterns and had inserted a virtual chip into our minds so they could study and control our thought processes. They were then able to communicate in a language compatible with our own. Within seconds they had tapped into our personal memory banks and all about our families, hopes and ambitions. Over the next few months we were well fed and watered within an enclosed environment, and told a bit about the way they had developed in a world not dissimilar to our own. In effect, their technology was approximately 2,000 years in advance of ours, and Helmeria said they had abolished birth and death. Birth as we knew it was far too laborious, and death was too distressing. With each new state-approved pairing of couples, they were allowed 1 test tube child. This is why they were all identical size and appearance. They didn't need names, as all had the built-in brain scanning equipment to read one another's thoughts. Malice, envy, hatred and disease had been systematically eradicated at the point of birth. Religion, sex and excitement had been abolished. As regards death, everyone had an exit device built into their brains to enforce removal on their 40th birthday. To ensure survival of ethnic relationships, the departed person's soul essence was captured on the state database, and a sterilised version was passed on to the newly allotted test tube baby, so that all learning and life experience was passed on, thus keeping each family's history intact. It was then that the penny dropped. We, as uninvited visitors, had become a part of the system. Our brains had been digitalised, which meant we were now subject to their exit strategy, unless it could be reversed. Helmeria said it was impossible, as otherwise our brains would be destroyed by state decree. However, we would be allowed to leave and return to Earth, even guided back as close as our moon. At 32, I was the youngest member of our team. The oldest, Brett, had been 36. We would all die on our 40th birthdays. It was a sobering thought. Knowing that even if we managed it without mishap, we had a 2-year journey back to Earth and home. Somehow we survived, and now I am the only one left alive to tell the tale. There is a footnote to this story. In a last-ditch attempt to restore him to normality and in a 10-hour operation, the astronaut was offered a brain transplant, still leaving a small part of his brain intact. A similar operation had been tried before and been successful on a patient with a large tumour. The doctors now had a suitable subject for the transplant to take place. A man in his early 20s had been paralysed from the neck downwards in a rock climbing incident. His mind was undamaged, and he was adamant he had no wish to live as a vegetable, and so was eager to grab the chance of regaining physical fitness. Likewise, Marcus Benedict didn't want to die. On recovery and speaking in a clear voice, the first thing the new brain recipient said was that now he hoped he could achieve his life's greatest ambition. When asked what that was, he replied that he had already climbed the world's highest mountain and dived the deepest ocean. He always wanted to be an astronaut, to explore the farthest reaches of space, and to search for evidence of life on other planets. End.